In this lecture series, we're going to kick off the second section of the course, which focuses on primate ecology and then a little bit of the early primate fossil record, uh, understanding things like paleontology and geology before we make to the last section covering the fossils that we contribute to the human evolutionary story. So in this lecture series, we're going to cover primate ecology and sociobiology. And the first aspect of that is understanding primate habitat. What we're studying right now is primatology, and that is the study of the order primate, both extinct as well as extant. Extinct means no longer, habitable on this planet, and extant is a fancy term for still living. And so primatology is quite an expansive field because you need to have a good understanding and basis for comparing all sorts of primates that live all over the world. Not only the suite and diversity of their behaviors, and that includes, in this part, we're going to focus on habitat, but many other types of behaviors, and that also includes the evolutionary history. So in each one of these major groups of primates that we're going to study, you should know something about their behaviors as well as their evolutionary relatedness, how they're related to some of the other major groups of primates and why. What do we want to know about primate behavior? We want to know where they live. What is their distribution in terms of geographic space? That's what we'll cover in this component, but we also want to know, what they eat, what's the diversity of their dietary habits, as well as how they move, which is also known as locomotion or locomotor ecology. We also want to know about their group living. What kind of groups do primates form? So our primary question here is, where do primates live? And primates live primarily in tropical and subtropical regions, although there are a slight few exceptions. When you look at the diversity of primates, we're going to, divide them up into specific groups based on their evolutionary relatedness, the types of characteristics that they have that are based on genes that are manifested into phenotypes that we can actually view and see. And when we look at, for instance, New World monkeys, those monkeys that are indigenous to the New World, they live in parts of Central and South America. When you go to the continent of Africa, they have a great diversity of monkeys, and they are different from the New World monkeys. They're known as Old World monkeys. They can also be found in parts of Asia. But the great apes that live in Africa are chimpanzee, gorilla, as well as bonobo that live south of the Great Congo River. There are also lorises as well as galagos. In the Asian continent, you have Old World monkeys as well. You have lorises and galagos, but you also have the tarsier, which lives only in Southeast Asia. You have gibbons and siamangs, which are lesser apes, and they just have a smaller body size than the great apes. And then, of course, you have the Asian great ape that lives in Southeast Asia in only two islands, Borneo and Sumatra, and that is the genus Pongo, which you're more familiar with the term orangutan. When we look at an island off the coast of Madagascar, there is a particular primate that only lives there, and those are lemurs. If we were to spread the diversity of primates geographically on a world map, this is what it would look like. The areas in brown show you the geographic distribution of New World monkeys living in parts of southern Mexico and all the way down into, places like Argentina and South America. Old World monkeys live in both Africa and Asia. You can see some of them live in North Africa, close to areas like Morocco and the Strait of Gibraltar. But you can see many of them living across just south of the Saharan desert, and all the way south into parts of South Africa, with the and not part of the Namib Desert. You could notice there's a little gap there. When you look at prosimians, that includes lemurs, lorises, and the tarsier. They live in parts of Africa and Asia. When you look at apes, we have great and lesser apes. They live both in Africa and Asia as well, and then it depends on what ape you're talking about. But we'll go through each one of these groups at a time, and we'll look at their profile in terms of their geographic distribution, where they live, not just that, but many other aspects of them, like their diet, locomotion, as well as their group living. Again, primates mostly live in tropical or subtropical areas, and that includes rainforests, deciduous tropical forests, as well as gallery forests. Now, there are, of course, a few exceptions, right? Even you're a primate. Not all human primates live in tropical and subtropical areas. Savannas or open woodland or bush, this is where you will see like baboons. They're probably one of the only ones that are almost exclusively terrestrial, living on open savannas like Serengeti Plain. But there are also baboons that live in the Ethiopian highlands that will be mostly on the ground at altitude. You also see this picture in the lower right corner. This is known as syn ecology, like they are synchronous. What you'll notice with primates in particular areas is they will actually split up parts of the forest horizontally. And so you'll have like an emergent layer, canopy, understory, and like a shrub layer. And you'll have primates that will live in each one of these layers, and actually will be different species. And so they can live with each other. Primates will come to the forest floor, but there's all sorts of other predators there. They'll only go there when they really need to. Now, of course, if you're a chimpanzee or a gorilla, you have no problem going to the forest floor because you don't really have as many predators. But this is something exceptional among non-human primates, is other primates can live with each other in terms of interspecies living. When you look at humans, we can't really live with any primate and really share any territory with them.